at this point, I'd like to take a few moments to specifically talk both about Cynthia's case here and foreclosures in general, because and even bigger, the Federal Reserve banking system that Michael was talking about, because until we get to the basic issues of the authority to control our own economic situations, we're going to continue having problems with foreclosures and student loans. We need to comprehend the fundamentals of how of the economic legal battlefield. Okay, and a good friend that many of you know, Hartford Van Dyke up in Washington State, he has clearly declared in times past that the authority of judicial officers to declare that a debt has been paid or discharged, when a judicial officer declares that a debt has been paid or discharged, that judicial officer is in essence creating money. These are Hartford Van Dyke's words. The power to declare a debt paid is the power to create money, because money under our current credit debt system, money is no longer gold and silver coin. Money is entirely just debts and credits, and when you, as a judicial officer, declare that a claimed debt has been paid, then in essence that is tendering the obligation and neutralizing it and making it no longer an enforceable debt.
And I would also like to add what Charles just said, because when a borrower is to repay the loan in the same, that we are allowed to repay that loan in the same species of money or credit that the bank, financial institution, used to fund the loan per GAAP, which is GAAP. I don't have the statute and codes and stuff for it right now in front of me, but for GAAP, we are allowed to repay that loan just as well. And that is one of my defense that I have, because I am allowed to pay them, because the only thing they use, they never loan me any money anyway. The loan robber, his signature paid off everything, and they use that money to benefit themselves and put it on the stock exchange and got paid like 3 times over. And we also find out that the attorney is like the third party. The attorney is the person that's doing the foreclosure is the attorney, because they bought the loan from the bank, because the bank already got paid.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. If we might build on that also, Cynthia and I have been using the Uniform Commercial Code I issued a commercial instrument to Cynthia. Cynthia issued a commercial instrument to me, both of them in the amount of $320,000. And when we traded them, that an essential element of a contract is to have valuable consideration. And so when we traded our Uniform Commercial Code promissory notes, we each gave the other valuable consideration. And that gives us what is recognized under the Uniform Commercial Code as, quote, holder in due course, unquote, quote, status. We've got holder in due course status. You can't use your own commercial instrument to discharge debts that you owe. But if you've got a commercial instrument from a friend that you're the holder in due course on, then you can use that commercial instrument to discharge debts. And this is so profoundly power decentralizing that at that point, when we've got our communities of people, our responsibly self-governing communities, we can share creating these commercial instruments with each other, and all of us can be holders of due course of all of our friends' promissory notes. And at that point, under the Uniform Commercial Code, as presently applicable, we all have the authority to discharge any and all debts that are alleged against us. This is really a powerful game changer that almost no one comprehends. And technically speaking, we're going to continue to still have problems, even though this is profoundly empowering to us, because still control the judiciary and they still control the executive. As long as they've got corrupted judicial officers and corrupted executive officers that refuse to enforce and recognize the provisions of the Uniform Commercial Code, will continue to be in trouble. As long as they control the judiciary and the police power, all the beautiful laws in the world won't amount to a hill of beans, because the corrupted judges will continue making false declarations of how to apply law to the cases, and will still continue to be debt slaves. But we've got the lawful authority to discharge our debts through the Uniform Commercial Code here, and that includes student loan debts and banking foreclosure debts, but that's the general policy that we're doing a slow and painless and non-traumatic conversion to. That's the footnotes of the general agenda that we expect to be promoting, to have this ability to discharge debts in these quick and efficient manners, like the Uniform Commercial Code empowers us to do. But the bottleneck, the obstruction for our ability to access this economic power, comes through our control of the judiciary and our control of the executive in our local townships and our precincts, through our justice of the peace judicial officers and at the precinct level, and our town constables at the local township level. And so that's why organizing our self-governing communities is of even greater priority than talking about the economic system, because until we gain control of the judiciary, our entire economic system is going to be continued to be run as an oppressive, top-down, authoritarian economic system, with only the moral prostitutes getting the lion's share of the economic resources of the community, and it's going to be continued to be misallocated there. So I should yield at this point for comments or questions. Anyone?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You can go ahead. This is Cynthia. I can wait till your comment is finished.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, in dealing with the student loan stuff and the U.S. Department of Education, I have, over all these years, or in decades now, 2 of them, I've been able to see how the U.S. Department of Education and the banks and the service providers all operate in this same kind of similar kind of fashion, where you use the term friends, Charles, when you're talking about the mutual things in commerce there. That's what the U.S. Department of Education is doing, is they'll loan, or say they're loaning, based on a promissory note that we sign. Then, like the home mortgages, they bundle these things together and sell them off to a service provider, and then the service provider does all these funny things to them, and if they don't like what's going on, or they decide that they're going to go out of business or change their name, like Sally Mae and Navient and all this other kind of crap, then they they do their thing, and then they'll bundle things together and sell them to another service provider, and if they do something or go out of business, then they sell them back to the U.S. Department of Education. If somebody determines along the way that they go default, then they sell them to the ECMC, Educational Corporation, or whatever it is, but ECMC, and and then they've got something called the default, something group, if they, and all of the, and the federal student aid, all these are aliases for the U.S. Department of Education. They disguise all this stuff. Even the Ombudsman's office. All this comes under one umbrella, and they just partition it off and play with themselves, basically. I yield.
Thank you, David. Yeah, that's the smoke and mirrors is intense. This is why I'm really enthused about organizing our Supreme Court of Law for the USA with 12 jurists, each representing one superstrate, is because at that point we will be in a position with our Supreme Court of Law for the USA to make judicial declarations that entire superstructure quagmire of confusion is null and void. We can wipe it away with one jury verdict declaration. It can all be that simple if we organize and start assuming vacant common law jurisdiction offices.